Welcome back, you guys, and today I'm bringing you guys a pretty big video. I'm going to be speaking about the latest reports surrounding Tagliafico, and I'm going to focus on the big article that was released by The Athletic early this morning. In the article, it does detail how we have plans to spend big in the next summer window. We're planning to bring in two big marquee signings as well. Roman Abramovich wants to invest heavily too. Things are looking promising, things are looking exciting. However, before I get into anything, today's video is brought to you by the OneFootball app. You'll find a link below in the description, and download the OneFootball app now to stay up to date to the latest developments surrounding this club, targets, and general football news in the Premier League too. The OneFootball app has so many useful features so you can stay up to date to what's happening in the football world. If you want to try out for yourselves, you guys, as I've said, you'll find a link below in the description. And if you liked today's video, and even if you dislike today's video, then make sure to use the like or dislike buttons. And you guys, let's get straight into things now. And I'm going to focus on Tagliafico first, before ending with the big Athletic article. Now, this report is coming out from Argentina and from Holland. Starting with the Dutch reports first, and they're suggesting that we may have agreed a 30 million fee for Tagliafico. So that's 26 million as the fixed fee with 4 million in bonuses on top. And the funny thing is, originally before the pandemic, Ajax had his valuation set at around 35 million. Naturally, they have had to reduce the fee due to the pandemic situation. Moving on to the Argentinian reports, and they seem to be coming from an Independiente Twitter account, suggesting that it is 30 million and providing more context and insight in the deal. They're saying that Tagliafico's former club in Independiente will be receiving 2 million due to the clauses originally inserted in the deal to move Tagliafico to Ajax. Now, the rumor that was doing the rounds was that we were going to announce Tagliafico officially tomorrow. However, you guys, I think this is just a prime example of false fake news. There's nothing like that at all. I think this was a mistranslation, and sometimes when you just solely get your news on Twitter, you can be prone to fake news. Now, does this news suggest that we are getting closer for a deal for Tagliafico? I'm not too sure, you guys, and I'm going to explain to you exactly why. We all know the reports doing the rounds right now. We know that Juventus are interested in bringing Jorginho and Emerson to their club. However, the players they're offering as part exchange are just fodder that we do not need. They aren't good enough for us. We're not a Serie A club that's just happy to take any of the discard players. And the one player that we've told Juventus that we would only take from them is Alexandro. So potentially, if the deal does involve Sandro moving to us, things do become a bit more complicated. And the reason why I'm mentioning this to you guys is to tell you that we aren't getting any closer to finalizing a deal for a left back. We're still speaking to targets, we're still assessing who the main targets are to bring in. And of course, if anything happens with Juventus' interest for our players, and if Alexandro is involved in the deal, naturally that's going to change everything with this deal. So all I can tell you at this point in time is to just be patient. Let's see what's going to happen in the next few days, the next few weeks. And one more thing, you guys, I will be releasing a big tactical analysis on Tagliafico. I'm going to explain to you why I feel he is the best candidate we should sign, how he's going to help the system, etc, etc. So stay tuned for that, you guys. And now we can move on to the second and final part of the story, and that's in regards to the massive Athletic report that came out earlier this morning. Now, I'm going to break down and list off the key talking points from the article. In the article, it does suggest that Roman Abramovich is as enthusiastic as ever. He wants big money transfers, with the club hoping to sign two marquee signings. The club want to use the opportunity to close the gap down between City and Liverpool. We have money to burn after the sales of Morata and Hazard, as well as the sales of assets not needed at the club anymore. Players not needed on high wages will be released too. Players such as Sancho, Kai Havertz, Tino Werner and Moussa Dembele will all be targeted, not signed, but all targeted, of course, in hopes to sign some. And Frank Lampard still wants Ben Chilwell as his main choice at left back. However, Telles and Tagliafico will be seen as alternatives. Now, you guys, this news isn't particularly new. You know, this is news that we've heard about consistently over a few months now. However, if you're asking me, I feel like these signs are even more encouraging right now because there have been some doubts in regards to whether we are going to spend so big, especially due to the pandemic, especially due to so many, outside factors as well. But now would be the best time to spend big. Now, for you guys that saw my Sancho video, you know that I would have given my theories in regards to why I feel that we are going to be good to, invest and spend big in this next window. But from this point, you guys, I'm going to speak about the marquee signings being suggested in the article. We've heard about these players for such a long time now that, of course, it's natural that we've had some big plans and ambitions to try and make their signings. I'm going to start off by speaking about Ben Chilwell first. Now, I can see why Frank Lampard would still rate the player and still value him highly. Ben Chilwell does have a lot of moldable attributes that can be improved upon, that can get better, and I think it's that factor in the player that makes him very interesting to Frank Lampard. As I constantly stress all the time, we have the environment at this club right now that develops players, that coaches players to become the best they can be. It's not like under previous managers that didn't care about that side of the game. So if we look at players like Ben, let's say their current ability level is at like a 6.57, with our infrastructure, with our environment, we can have these players fulfill their potential. So from that angle, I can see why Lampard would be interested. Ben does have some good attributes. As I'm mentioning, he's good aerially, explosive pace, he holds the flanks very well too, and he plays very well alongside wingers. However, if you're asking me, I still feel like there are question marks around the player. The fact that he's going to cost so much money doesn't make him too tantalizing if you're asking me, and I think the reality is that we need to understand Leicester as a football club. Now, Leicester City are the same club that had Mahrez staying with them 2 years longer than Mahrez actually wanted to be there, and they also sold Maguire for 85 million. They're a club that don't get pushed around or pushed over, and consider the fact that there's a real possibility that Leicester City are going to be securing a Champions League spot for the next season. I feel like they are in a very strong position to demand the money that they want for Ben. Now, the article does state that the club feel that due to the pandemic, that could bring the price down for Ben Chilwell. However, let's not forget that he was valued between 70 to 80 million. Leicester City aren't going to give us 50% off. It's not going to work like that. And considering other left-back targets available on the market for way less, I personally feel like we can't justify spending anywhere near the outlay for a Ben Chilwell. Now, moving on to Dembele and Timo Werner, because as the article states, we still want to secure a big striker to act as competition alongside Tammy Abraham. Now, we can afford to sign a striker because Tammy Abraham costs us absolutely nothing, and his player cost per year is literally his wages. Starting with Timo Werner, reports saying that maybe Liverpool have ended their interest in the player. My thing with Timo Werner is that if he's signed to play that inside forward role. At RB Leipzig, that's the role in which he's prospering in so well, and that's where he really plays his best football. Playing that withdrawn role where he can make those late arrivals inside the box to use his pace to the fullest extent. And I think that when he plays up front, especially in a lone striker role, you don't really see the best of Timo Werner. You've seen that he doesn't have maybe the physical attributes to be a player that holds up the play, to bring the midfield into the game. He's not someone that's going to really play with that authority and that conviction leading the line up front either. And if you're asking me, I feel like if he is signed, he is going to be signed as an alternative to maybe a Sancho and a Kai Havertz, because Werner plays that inside forward / striker role. So in that sense, it would be a 2-in-1 type of player, where he would have the opportunity to play up front alongside Tammy Abraham, as well as playing on the flanks either side of him. And I feel like this is how the club is viewing his signing. With Moussa Dembele, he has more of the characteristics that you'd want up front playing in our system. He has that strength. He leads the line very well. He can bring people into the game. He can carry the ball himself too. He can run the channels, hold the ball. He possesses the attributes in which we use our strikers currently. And with reports suggesting that Lyon have reduced his valuation from 80 million to around 45 to 50 million euros, while Dembele does become a lot more affordable. If you can sign a player like him for around the 40 million mark, it's potentially decent business. And let's not forget that Dembele is a player that this club knows very, very well. He's been scouted for years, he's been on the books for years, and for the sake of the team and tactics, I feel like he would be a signing that does make maybe more sense than a Timo Werner. Now to end with Sancho and Kai Havertz, starting with Kai. Kai is showing that he is without a doubt one of the best under 21 players across the world. I mean, to be so complete for his age right now is very interesting. I feel like his ability to get goals and how he positions himself, how he finds spaces between the lines, how he is able to get on the end of attacks too, how he times his runs inside the box. These are all great examples of this exciting, talented young player. I know that he's been praised for his versatility. However, if you're asking me, we aren't going to be signing Kai to play 6 different positions every year. Players don't develop the best when they're playing in different positions consistently throughout a season. It just doesn't work like that. I think as we're now starting to see, Kai operates best playing as that router meter, either down the right channel or in the cam positions too, and I think there's a real possibility that his signing would imply that Mason would be seen more as a midfield player for the following season. I think that's quite fair to assume because Mason has been used as that router meter for the team, playing that shadow striker role, and he has had middling success. Now Kai has shown that he excels playing in that position, and we've seen that Lampard prefers players playing in the cam role to be more of a shadow striker instead of having those playmaking abilities. So if we do get priced up for Jadon Sancho, then I can see why the club would go in for a player like Kai. And ending with Jadon Sancho, I think that he would be an incredible marquee signing to make. I think that his ability to play all across the final third is really key. And the reason why Sancho really shines, and the reason why I really like the player, is how he plays that free role. Now I feel for a player this young to be able to have the license to play and roam where he wants really just gives you everything you need to know about just how amazing a player he is. He consistently scores from the left, the right, and in the middle as well, and it's testament to his ability to make those late arrivals inside the box, where he's showing at such a young age already that he's extremely clinical inside the box. I feel like we create so many opportunities inside our box sometimes that we don't necessarily take them all, and in that sense I feel like if Sancho was signed, his signing would imply that Lampard would focus more on creative movement inside the final third, even more. Players would have more license to roam across the final third too. And I really find that quite exciting, you guys. I like that idea of an extremely fluid Chelsea team that, makes it very difficult for opposition teams to mark and pick up. But to end with my point, you guys, I feel with Sancho's signing, maybe that could be justified more than a Kai, because when it comes to our options in the winger positions, I feel like due to their ability to be injury prone and because we haven't seen them play consistently throughout a season, you could argue that there are still question marks surrounding these players. With Kai, I feel like we already have players that do operate in his positions. You could argue that they don't have the same quality. However, we still have players that play there, but it's in those wide areas where maybe we need that upgraded quality that we don't necessarily know that we have right now. In that sense, Sancho can provide that, and I think personally, his signing would be a great justification to go out and spend big. Now, to give my brief conclusion, my conclusion is based on our tactics and our system. I'm looking at players that I personally feel would really complement how we play and elevate our style to take it to Lampard 2.0. And for me, I think Moussa Dembele and Jadon Sancho would be a better justification to spend big compared to a Kai and to a Timo Werner. I think Moussa Dembele has those characteristics that we need in our striker up front, and I think that Jadon Sancho brings a different threat from the wide areas. And, let's not forget that we're a team that focuses on building attacks down the flanks. So this is my reasoning for it. I'm not imposing it on you guys. I'm just going to be honest with my thoughts and opinions. And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. How did you feel about today's news? Are you excited as me? It feels like we are going to do big things in the summer window. And yeah, I'm going to wrap things up, you guys. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll see you guys later with some more videos.